Today, we will learn about what is momentum. In Newton's second law of motion itself, I taught you about momentum. So, let me explain with a suitable example. Okay, now we'll listen to a story. There was a murderer, and he is locked inside a house. Safely, he is locked inside a house. So, the policeman wants to catch the murderer. So he appoints two people to open the door because the door is a special door which does not have a key and a lock. So another thing is it is very much sealed. So now two people the policeman has arranged. One is very strong and clever person, which is who is thin person. We'll name him as Ramu, and another one is wrestler who is Ching Pong. Now Ramu, he tries to open the door. Ramu is not able to open the door. He hurt himself. Now Chingpo, the wrestler, broke the door with one punch. So what is the difference between these two? Is there any physical difference? Yes. The wrestler is strongly built and the Ramu is weakly built. So Ching Pong is able to hit the door because his mass is more. Ramu is not able to hit the door or open it, and he gets himself hurt because his mass is less. So the extent of damage is more when the mass is more. So more mass, more damage. Extent of damage cost is more when the mass causing the damage is more. So again I repeat, extent of damage caused to the door is more when the mass of the causer, that who is the causer here? He is the wrestler. His mass is more. Extent of damage caused is more when the mass of the causer is more. Now the first door was opened, and when the policeman entered, they were unable to find the murderer. There was another one very strong door. So the wrestler, what he does it, he just gives a punch and sees. It is not at all opening. So now he makes another idea. He runs from a far distance and comes and hits the door. The strong door breaks. So what can you understand? The wrestler applies more velocity. So you can see in the first figure, with one punch he is not able to open the strong door, whereas when he runs and comes, he is able to break open the door. So the extent of damage caused is more if the velocity of the causer is more. Extent of damage caused is more if the velocity of the causer is more. So who is causing the velocity? That is the wrestler. So his velocity when it is more, the extent of damage is also more. So what can we understand from both the situations? That is, when the mass is more, extent of damage is more, and when the velocity is more, the extent of damage is more. So what is a momentum? The impact or extent of damage which object can cause is called as the momentum of the object. So the impact or extent of damage caused which object can cause is called as the momentum of the object. So momentum is nothing but the product of mass and velocity. So that is called mass, more velocity, more impact. Less mass, less velocity, less impact. That is simply, it is called as in physics, impact or the extent of damage. In a simple word, it is called as momentum. So what is the SI unit of momentum? Now, you know that SI unit of mass is kilogram, kg. SI unit of velocity is meter per second, m by s. So what is the SI unit of momentum? Formula is mass into velocity. Mass SI unit is kg. Velocity SI unit is meter per second. So when we combine it, the unit of momentum, SI unit of momentum is kg meter per second. So this is about the momentum. Okay, why are we learning the momentum here? So let's understand a new principle, new topic called as conservation of momentum. What is called conservation? The meaning of conservation means no change. There will be no change in momentum. Again, I recap, momentum is nothing but the product of mass and velocity. So conservation of momentum means there is no change in the momentum, no change in the body's mass and velocity. Okay, now let's consider a scenario. Here a parked car, blue color car is parked, and a speeding car, which is the red one, it is speeding car. So they both are there. The speeding car is now going to come and hit the parked car. So here is a news of a parked car hit by a speeding car. Again I will replay. So what happened? When the parked car was hit by the speeding car also reduced its velocity. The parked car also started to move a little distance. So you can understand the difference. First, the parked car was not moving. When the speeding car came and hit the parked car started to move a little, whereas the speeding car reduced its velocity. So you can consider here the two cars. Now, according to Newton's third law of motion, for every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. You have to consider it as an isolated system. What is called isolated system? You know that any object will be in motion or in at rest unless acted upon by an external unbalanced force. Now, if you see here, there will be many other unbalanced force here. Friction is one of the unbalanced force, but that one we are not considering at all. We are only considering the velocity of the parked car and the velocity of the speeding car. Nothing other than that we are going to consider. So in that isolated system, what happens? That is the question. So for every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. So you can see here, the parked cars force is FA, which is going in the direction shown by the yellow arrow mark, and the FB is the force applied by the speeding car on the parked car. You can see the direction of the force. There is a collision between the two cars. According to Newton's first law of motion, an object at rest continues to be at rest. Understand it? An object at rest will continue to be at rest. An object in motion will continue to be in motion with the same velocity. So here in this previous case, which is the object at rest? Parked car is the object at rest. So it will continue to be at rest. Which is the next sentence they are telling? An object in motion. Which is the object in motion in this example? The speeding car is the object in motion in this example. So it will continue to be in motion unless an unbalanced force is applied on it. So we are not considering the unbalanced force as frictional force, or somebody else is coming and pushing it, or the battery is started accelerating and the car started moving, or whether the road is slippery or slopey so the car started moving. Those things and all we are not considering. We are excluding those systems. Only now there two cars are there, so it is called as an isolated system. In this case, there are only two cars. So in this case, who is the unbalanced force? For the parked car, speeding car is the unbalanced force. So the parked car was at rest, but the speeding car, which is the unbalanced force, acts on the parked car and it makes to change the state of rest. Whereas for the speeding car, who is the unbalanced force? The parked car is the unbalanced force. So it is stopping the motion of the car. So the state of motion is stopped by the parked car. So according to Newton's first law of motion, an object at rest continues to be at rest. Fine. An object in motion continues to be in motion with the same velocity, but it changes its state of motion or rest when an unbalanced force is applied on it. So you can consider the parked car's unbalanced force is speeding car's unbalanced force is parked car. So what happens when the speeding car hits the parked car? Now you can see there is a head-on-head collision. So because of that, the parked car started moving behind and the speeding car also reduced its velocity. So what can we understand? The parked car is giving the velocity in the opposite direction to the speeding car. Now the speeding car's acceleration is negative. That is, the car started retarding. Acceleration's opposite is retardation. You would have learned in last year class, acceleration and retardation. So if the speed is reduced, it is called retardation. So the speeding car's acceleration is reduced and the parked car has applied an force on the speeding car. So now let's derive the conservation of momentum. The force exerted by the speeding car, that is the red car, on the parked car, rate of change of momentum of the parked car. So what are we doing? We are going to find out what is the rate of change of momentum of the parked car. Now let's consider the mass of the parked car. Which is the parked car here? Blue color car. The mass of the parked car is MA. M is the mass. For identification, we will keep it as MA. Before collision means the first diagram. Before it is colliding, what was the initial momentum of the parked car? So this parked car's initial momentum, the mass, momentum is product of mass and velocity. The mass is ma, and initial momentum, you know, always you will write it in the alphabet u. So initial momentum, the velocity is ua. So the product of mass and velocity is called as momentum. So we are finding what is the momentum. Later we will find. So here initial velocity we are taking before collision as ua, and when it starts colliding, what happens? The parked car starts moving behind. So it attains a final velocity. So we are taking the final velocity as va. So understand, initial velocity is ua and final velocity is va. You should have understood the word initial, starting, final. After collision, what happens? Okay, the mass of the parked car is ma we are considering. So according to Newton's second law of motion, we will derive the derivation. So initial momentum is product of mass and velocity. So initial, so mass is ma, initial velocity is ua, so ma ua. Final momentum, product of mass and velocity. Mass is ma, final velocity is va, so ma ua. Now change in momentum is nothing but final momentum minus initial momentum. So we are ma va minus ma ua. What is called change in momentum? Now you would have learnt in maths also. First, the population of a village is 4,000. After some time, the population became 6,000. What is the change in population? So what will you do? Final population minus the initial population. 6,000 minus 4,000, 2,000. You will calculate. I remember we have learnt in simple interest, compound interest topic. Okay, so that topic we have learned. So change in population, what would we do? Final population minus initial population. Same like that, change in momentum is final momentum minus initial momentum. In Newton's second law of motion, we have learned that rate of change of momentum. I told you, whenever rate comes, you should divide by t. So ma va minus ma ua by t. According to Newton's second law of motion, the rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the unbalanced force. So here Fa, that is the parked cars, Fa is equal to MAVA minus MAUA by T. So this one we have found for the parked car. Which is the parked car here? Blue color car. So blue color cars force we have calculated. Now we will calculate the force exerted by the parked car on the speeding car. That is, blue color car is going to apply a force on the red color car. So what is the rate of change of momentum? We are going to calculate. Now we'll consider the mass of the speeding car as mb. So before collision, the initial velocity is ub, and after collision, the final velocity is vb. So final means v, initial is u. So to differentiate speeding car and the blue, that is the parked car, I have used ab. Only that is the difference. So what is the initial momentum? Momentum of the red color car is mb, that is mass is mb and initial velocity is ub. So initial momentum is mb ub, final momentum is mb vb. So change in momentum is final momentum minus initial momentum, mb vb minus mb ub. Rate of change of momentum is divided by t, mb vb minus mb ub divided by t. According to Newton's second law of motion, fb is equal to mb ub. So FB is equal to MBVB minus MBUB by T. So we have calculated the force applied by the parked car on the speeding car. FA is nothing but the force applied by the speeding car on the parked car. So you could have understood the difference here. So what are we doing according to Newton's third law of motion? So using Newton's second law of motion, we have derived the force. Now using third law of motion, now we are going to equate the force. So what we understood, every action has equal and opposite reaction. Now you can see that the speeding car and the parked car is going to apply equal and opposite forces, action force and reaction force. So FA is equal to minus FB. So equal in magnitude, opposite in direction. I have taught you in Newton's third law. So now FA we are substituting, as we have already found FA value is MAVA minus MAUA by T, and FB value is MBVB minus MBUB by T. So that one we are applying here. So MAVA, T cancels from both the direction. MAVA minus MAUA is equal to minus of MBVB minus MBUB. Now I am going to remove the bracket. MAVA minus MAUA is equal to minus MBVB plus minus into minus plus MBUB. So now I am bringing the like terms towards the one side. So all the V one side and all the U one side. So MAUVA plus MBVB is equal to MAUA plus MBUB. So what can we understand? The momentum after collision, we have taken as final velocity. So that is the after collision. So momentum after collision is equal to momentum before collision. Before collision, we have taken the velocity as u. So you can see here, this is the initial and this is the final. Before collision, after collision. The sum of the momentum of both the cars before collision is equal to the sum of the momentum of both the cars after collision. So this is called conservation of momentum. When two or more bodies act upon one another, the sum of their momentum remains constant, provided no external force are acting on the bodies. So what can we understand? The sum of the momentum before collision is equal to the sum of the momentum after collision, when there is no external force applied other than the two bodies. If there is no external forces applied, then the conservation of momentum will happen. So this is called conservation of momentum.